Tom, aka Gedeon, here for Star Frontiers Gamer. We have another Frontiersman Friday, Frontiersman Friday number 11. So I just want to pause and say, hey, check out this new background. For some reason, the whole green screen technology came together today. I don't know if it was just changing the background would do it, but it's like it's really working well. And I want to apologize if there's been sound quality issues in the past. I've been noticing at different times that it didn't seem like the Yeti microphone was actually recording stuff. And I kept finding it was the computer wasn't using the Yeti, and and that's problematic. It's not as good sound quality as I mean, it's the computer's internal mic is not great compared to the Yeti. And so digging around, I found that there was a setting for make the Yeti my default microphone all the time. And I clicked on it. And so I think we have solved the problem of the settings getting changed. And sometimes the Yeti is being used, sometimes it's not. So a little bit of like, hey, we've been working on the tech here, and hopefully things will be better. We're endeavoring to make changes with the green screen, but for some reason today, I mean, it's working, and it's working right, and we're not getting the fuzz. So moving right along. Oh, the good wife is over there smirking at me because she wants me to upgrade tech all the time. So let me get this up on the screen. It's Star Frontiersman number 11, and I just want to say, take a look at this. Take a look at this cover. As I was prepping for this, I was reading down here on the cover. It says original artwork by GJD, which, man, try to save that 10 times fast. A member of the starfrontiers.us forums created this. Now, I really like the look, of these CGI 3D models for the Assault Scouts. These have a really good look, and I like them. This is a Sathar heavy cruiser of some sort. I'm counting out about 6 engines there, so that would put it like hull size 12 to 14, I do believe. So this is great artwork, and I've been racking my brains trying to figure out who GJD is, and I just can't remember because I spent a lot of time on those forums from the mid 2000s through 2018 when traffic on the forums just kind of took a nosedive and seemed to shift to other social media like Discord servers. Facebook became more popular at that time. So, it was great forums. A lot of development of stuff went on there, and I just can't remember who this is. So, GJD, if you're out there and you're still doing artwork, the Star Frontiersman Volume 2 has an email of starfrontiersman@gmail.com. Please send us some artwork. So that's my shameless plug for the new magazine. And right here in the letter from the editor. By the way, this is another Tom Stevens editorial job. And here in the letter from the editor, we have issue 11. It's our first fully themed issue of the magazine. As you can probably guess from the cover, the theme is Nighthawks. All of the articles in the magazine this time have something to do with spaceships. Well, actually, there's a system brief in here, but you don't have to have every single article being part of the theme, for sure. But yeah, this is a Nighthawks themed, and you're getting 2 complete starships, decked out and designed to the nth degree in this magazine. So this is a good one. Let's start with the first article is Star Frontiers without subspace radios. And, this is a what if. Now, and I enjoyed reading this, but I like the Frontier with subspace radios. I like my game with that. So this actually is good to think about if you're playing a game back in history prior to the first contact between humans and the Versk and the Drolocytes, because that was affected by subspace radio. So if you're playing back in history, this would be good to read about and have this as your baseline as this new subspace radio comes about, because maybe you want to explore the first contact scenario between Versk and Drolocytes, and then maybe later on down the road when the Azarians show up. So great article. It's got some great artwork in it too, and it's just 3 pages. And then you get one of my early articles, sources for miniatures. Now this goes back to 2009. So right away when I says, oh geez, let's look at these links, I bet half of these aren't active anymore. Actually, it's not bad. Like Reaper Miniatures. Reaper's a huge company, and since 2009, I think they started the Chronoscope line, which has some good stuff in it to mine for. I'm going to use this miniature for my Star Frontiers game. So Reaper Minis is still an active link. Old Crow Models. Let's just click on that and go to their website. I loved this company, and I did buy a fair amount of stuff from them. And so you pull up these pictures. This is a 28 millimeter hover tank with a 6 millimeter tank, and primarily they're marketing to people who are interested in wargaming. Hammers Slammers novels by David Drake. So that's a lot of what this company was dedicated to. But the he says there's some major changes, that he's busy working on a major feature film, and so they're not actively selling because he's got real world intrudes, and you're doing a major feature film. I can't be doing this little side out of my house, out of my garage business. Well, this website has not been updated since 2012, so I think we can consider the company kind of defunct at this point. Now, what is interesting okay, so when you go to contacts here, you have this link for the Hammers Slammers website. And what this website is you can download all sorts of rules for, table of organization for all these different factions in Hammer Slammers, PDF downloads for rules and supplements for wargaming sci-fi tank battalions on the wargaming table, if you're interested in that sort of thing. And I point this out because since the Old Crow models site seems to be kind of dead, not updated since 2012, which is that makes it a decade. It's probably going to go away at some point. So if you're interested in running down these Hammer Slammers, well, actually it's hammers-slammers.com. But you probably want to grab all of this material if you're interested in wargaming. So the other thing of interest on this site, back it up, is right here. Is they have a link to David Drake's website. So I went there, and when I went there, I saw, he's giving information. He's the guy, the guy's been struggling with some health issues, and he's very transparent about that. And then I saw this newsletter number 123, the last one, and I clicked on it, and I was like, this is the last, oh my God, this, because hours of enjoyment I've had reading his novels, particularly the up here, the Lieutenant Leary Commanding series. I felt was very Star Frontiers. It had very Star Frontiers. Now, the faster than light technology in this is very different from the Frontier, and the spacers put on suits and they go out on the hull of the ship while it's in hyperspace or whatever they call it, and they have to trim the sails on the ship as it grabs energy from the hyperspace around it, and that's so it's almost like a call back to the days of sailors up trimming the sails to get better air, to get faster, and so it's a little bit of that. And it, it feels and functions differently than Jump Space and Star Frontiers. But other than that, really, really good Star Frontiers feel in the I think this is the first book here, if I could read it. But this Lieutenant Leary commanding series, absolutely a great read, and was very Star Frontiers feel to me. And the Hammer Slammers, which I didn't read much of, has has star, like, and if you were interested in like playing out groundhogs, wargaming mercenary companies with armored vehicles, I really think the Hammer Slammers books would be a great place for inspiration. So anyhow, this last newsletter, he's talking about his health issues, but then he's written 3 more newsletters since. And the last one actually has good news, because he actually dug up the first novel he ever wrote. It was critiqued badly by a professional writer. And so he never submitted it, and it was kicking around dust in the drawer. Something reminded him of it, and his wife went and dug through the files and found it. And he's actually considering to rehab this novel, which was written immediately after coming back from Vietnam, and rehabbing it for today's audience, because it was a young adult novel. And he wrote it according to conventions that applied for young adult novels in the 70s, and those conventions have changed some, in the intervening 40-50 years. So he's actually working on that, because he's having and he's very transparent about this, he's having problems with his brain. I guess his brain has shrunk, and he's having difficulty focusing on writing novels. He's written some short stories. And so I bring all this up to say this, that there is a contact form you can fill out on here. And I'm actually thinking that I need to write him a letter and thank him for all of the years of joy and entertainment, just as a little bit of an encouragement. And so if you're watching this and you've enjoyed David Drake, I want to encourage you to do likewise. Because he has actually mentioned, getting a lot of encouragement and thank you. And so the guy he's been fighting this degenerative brain condition with supplements that he feels like are working. I know everybody's like, oh yeah, these such and such supplements, but he's taking them. He says he feels like they're working. He's working out every single day with his son, and that's stabilized him physically. He's still a little bit unsteady, such that he can't operate motor vehicles, but he seems, in this most recent, the 3rd newsletter since the last one, he seems really happy, and really happy with his progress, particularly with the daily workouts and the supplement that he feels is working, halting a lot of this brain degeneration that that he's fighting. So I just want to encourage you, maybe think about sending Mr. Drake an email letter of encouragement. So the links are there. Let's see if I can get back. So it's david-drake.com. If you don't want to go through the links in the magazine to Old Crow to the contacts page, and then go, so you can do it that way, or you just go david-drake.com. Most of these links actually do work. Other than the Old Crow, I'm going to say is going to be a dead link at some point. The Mega Miniatures closed business and sold off their molds to different parties, so you can't get their stuff anymore. These were low detail miniatures, but they were cheap, and they had oddball stuff you just couldn't get anywhere else. So I used to like to shop there. Very sad they went out of business, but all the others have good stuff, hassle-free, has, you want their sci-fi weird war line. Alternative Armies, has some sci-fi stuff, although it's like a fantasy. Napoleonics is their flagship product. Ground Zero Games, great company. They don't have enough photos put up on their product. It's been notoriously like this for years. I want to show you one particular item in their range here. This is in their street level, and it's the camera team, news camera team. You get a cameraman, you get two reporters, one in just a business attire, and then one in with a flak jacket and fatigues. So if she was reporting from the battlefield. But what is of interest here is this little technician with this uplink terminal. You just don't see this kind of a miniature anywhere. And so this is really cool. This £6 price actually includes the UK's value added tax. But when you check out, the value added tax, if you're a non-UK customer, gets removed. So they talk about that on their homepage. It's a problem. We're trying to get it resolved in the website. So you won't necessarily pay £6 for these figures. So I remember that years ago, I thought I should really buy this little batch of figures, because who couldn't use a reporter, a cameraman, and God, I love this little technician with the uplink terminal with the little dish there. That's kind of cool. It feels like I need that in my collection of sci-fi figures. Anyhow, moving on. Now, this is an article on military ship design, and so the author here has number crunched through Nighthawks, and because the Nighthawks rules lets you create a civilian ship, and they just present military ships. They don't give you the rules for making military ships. And so what he's done here is he has attempted to number crunch, reverse engineer the rules from what we see on military designs, so that you can actually have a set of rules to build a military craft from Nighthawks. And so cool. I mean, it's not actually something I've needed in my game, but I'm glad to have it. It's one of those things that you just kind of, all right, yeah, we need a pencil in a little note in my Nighthawks rule book to come to this just for these. So this is a great article if you're in need of being able to number crunch, have a set of rules to produce a military design vessel that will be in line with all the other military vessels in game. This would be it. UPF Order of Battle by Pariah. Pariah is his online handle. Great guy. Great producer of content. And what he's done here is he has scoured through all of the rules, all of the magazine articles, Polyhedron, Dragon Magazine, and found the names where they have named the ships. And he has cataloged all the names of all the ships, so that you now have an order of battle for all of these space fleet vessels with what their actual names are. And in this list, if you see an asterisk, that's a name he invented that he was just forced to invent. And it gets down here where you start in a lot of the militia ships, is where he had to invent a lot of names. So this was a cool effort. This is a great little resource. If you need the names of the ships, you don't have to go looking through all the Polyhedron. You got to find that Polyhedron article with that the raid on Theseus, where the Theseus militia's got to handle a Sathar incursion. So great effort for him. It's 2-page order of battle. It's a great resource. Not much to read there, but handy resource. FTL Torpedoes immediately brings to mind some novels by Steve White, where FTL torpedoes were a very important part of the naval actions in those novels. And that's what it brings to mind. And right away, you got to come down here to, there's two things that are my takeaway from this. Number one, the editor's note is these FTL torpedoes are probably best used as a plot device rather than in a Nighthawks board game. Amen, brother. The other thing is the number crunching Nighthawk style. The speed of light. This table here for the jump, void jump speed. He number crunches it down to all these different things. The big one is the 180 hexes per turn, because that's a game turn, and that ship will enter void speed at 180 hexes. And that's the number you need to know. And it's always like you're writing an adventure and you need to know that number, and you're like, where did I see that number? And you got to go looking for it. Here it is. But he's also number crunched all these other numbers. If you need it in kilometers per hour, or kilometers per minute, or kilometers per second, he's done all this other stuff for you, which is really cool. So I love this little table. And you just got to file it in the coconut. Star Frontiersman 11. This table's here, because when you don't need it, you don't need it. But when you need it, you're like, oh, where the hell was that? You got to go looking for it. Next, we get a planetary brief. This is from Shadow Shack. And one of the things he's done with this planetary brief, if you look at this map, is the city of Maze. And he's very explicit about it, actually, that the city of Maze actually encircles the equatorial region of the planet with some tendrils going up to the polar regions. And this is because the rule book has specified that high population planets, some of them have maxi cities, and a maxi city is a city that covers an entire continent. And this is described in the rules, but not specified where those maxi cities are. But the fact that it's specified in the rules, these cities must exist somewhere in setting. And the two of the leading candidates would be Port Lauren, and so it'd be Port Lauren and Maze on Minotaur. And so I highly approve of Shadow Shack putting Maze as a maxi city. That's what he's depicted here, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And he actually came to this conclusion long before I ever did. So, good for you, Shadow Shack. Covers political structure. It's a short, it's a short brief. Next, we get the TSSS Dart. So this is a Tom Stevens design, and he's done the side view, the top view. He's done a cross section here. You see how all the decks relate to each other. You get details on every deck and what's in it, what's going on there. You get the deck plan, the maps here. And then he does Alpha Dawn statistics. If you're just using the Alpha Dawn rules without the Nighthawks. So he covers that. Then he covers the Nighthawk statistics. So, here's my thing. This is thorough. They have tricked out every piece of information on this ship that you need. I mean, down here, communications equipment's all been outlined. Computer programs all been outlined for you. Other equipment. About the only thing that has not been figured out for you is the computer level. And you have to go by the function points of all these programs, total them up, and then check the table. And that's in the Alpha Dawn book, that table. So that's the only thing that has not been done for you with this. Next, we get the RT 3100 Merchant Scout. This is a civilian version of the Assault Scout. And this is done by Shadow Shack. And I'm always a fan of his deck plans. I like the way he thinks about starships and how he's thorough with his deck plans. He has not provided Alpha Dawn stats for us. That was almost a little bit of Tom Stevens being anal, but that's okay. We appreciate it. But here he has given us all of the Nighthawk stats that you could use. And again, all of the computer programs that this ship should carry. Just the only thing lacking is what is the computer level. And you've got the list of programs here. Look up the function points and total them up. and you'll get that. The only reason you would need the computer level is, say you were doing a boarding action on the ship and the players wanted to try to hack the computer. You need to know the level for some of the computer skills, sub-skills actions. It has an impact there. The next article is vectored movement. Now, I play tested this and I decided I was just going to use the standard Nighthawks rules. But what the vectored movement rules is that this is a realistic space movement system. And, it's a little bit more detail. And, the rules explain that. And you've got to think a little differently. The other issue with this is that if you use this and then the modifications you're forced to use for combat because of how this works, you strip away one of the big advantages that the Space Fleet ships have over the Sathar. And that is Space Fleet ships in the UPF ships within the game mechanics are fast and nimble. And this is their big advantage over the Sathar ships, that they can get in behind a Sathar ship and use their maneuverability and speed to stay there and pound away on it and nullify the heavy weapons that are forward fire only on the Sathar ship. So that's how a smaller UPF ship can destroy a bigger Sathar ship. I'm not saying that the UPF ship is not going to get pounded by the weapons that can be brought to bear on them. And, usually it's, you're trading one or two assault scouts for one destroyer, but that's a good trade in the larger scheme of things. But so these rules, if you want the greater verisimilitude of real physics movement in your game, then these are the rules for you. I've tried them. I didn't like the extra work, and I just said, you know what? Nighthawks is fun as it is. We just ignore the fact that it's not realistic as according to physics. So we deal with that. The only thing with this is, even though it's vectored movement, you do not have three-dimensional vectored movement, which would be even more complicated. The Saganami Island simulator game reportedly solved that problem, but and I'm a fan of the Honor Harrington series, but I never chased down that game, and I don't know that you really need it, the level of verisimilitude of vectored movement and 3 dimensions in space. I don't know that you need it. I find the game is fun in 2 dimensions the way the rules are written. It's just me. So, last of the breed, Will Signs. This is part 2 of his fiction. So again, no spoiler alerts. I'll let you read it. But every time I see this title, I think of the Louis L'Amour novel, Last of the Breed, where a Native American raised on the reservation learned all the skills, survival skills from his tribe. Becomes a fighter pilot in the United States Air Force, shot down in Soviet Russia, and eventually they send him to a Siberian work camp from which he escapes and works his way back to America by crossing Siberia to the strait there between Alaska and and Russia. And great novel. I enjoyed it, read it as a teenager. Every time I see this title, I just flash back to that. And then finally, last submission in the market. Well, actually, not quite the last. We have some classifieds, but right here, and let me shrink this page a little bit so everything's on here. This is a character sheet for a Starship. Now, this is not a character sheet for playing Nighthawks. This is if you have your player characters have a Starship, or they own it, or the bank owns it, whatever, but they're in control of a Starship. This sheet lets you chart all of the important information on it. You've got up here, Larry Moore did this, and he always liked these little graphic representations like this, these hexes for ADF, MR, hull size, DCR, and hull points. So this is just all of the information you need if you're running a game where, say, the players have a freighter, and they're picking up cargoes and dropping them off someplace else and having adventures along the way, very much like a Firefly Serenity kind of game. This is the character sheet for the ship, and you've got place to record all the computer programs, a place to record the computer level and how many function points it has, number of engines, type of engines, last overhaul, last maintenance, fuel carried. I mean, this is great. Accommodations, first class, journey class, storage class, crew, their salary, the ship's vehicles, equipment. Now, this equipment would be things like Atmo probes, orbital processing lab. If it was a mining ship, you have the orbital processing lab as a refinery for refining the ore that the digger shuttle has been scooping out of the asteroids. So it's for recording that kind of information, that kind of equipment. I don't think it was intended for 6 vacuum suits, 3 sets of mag boots, 2 sets of spacesuit armor, but you could record that here. But primarily, I think it's for the other optional stuff that you see in the Nighthawk's rules for starships. So this is a great thing, and the only problem with this is it's not a fillable PDF. You know what I'm saying? But it was produced back in 2009. But I think it'd be a cool thing if somebody actually reproduced this or something very similar to it as a fillable PDF, so you could just do stuff on your computer with it and then hit print and print it out. That'd be kind of handy. But otherwise, this is great. This is a great resource for your game. Not for Nighthawks per se, but definitely for your regular Star Frontiers game where the player character group owns a spaceship. And then lastly, we get the classifieds, and the fun thing here is the estate sale. We announced the recent passing of Gorko. He finally bit the bullet, literally, due to unforeseen, by him, circumstances. Friends and family are welcome to come and try to claim items from his residence. That sounds ominous. Artifacts will be available over the next week, at which point all items will be made available to the public. Torrida. So that appears to be the end of Gorko and Torrida's running feud in the classifieds. This other classified, this one was surprising. It was out of character with the rest that we've seen so far. This was an invitation to join this game, Starfighter Corps game, and it provided a link for the game. I don't believe the game is running now. I mean, that was 2009. We're now 2022. This is Frontiersman, Star Frontiersman number 11. I believe it's the last one that Tom Stevens was the editor for. And this is kind of the beginning of my involvement in the Star Frontiersman magazine, where I began submitting material because I was always on my edge, like, when are they going to put out another one of these great magazines? When's another one coming out? I'm like, I'd be like, well, maybe I should write something and help the next one come out. is how that came about. And so that's what kind of kicked me off working behind the scenes, particularly with Larry Moore, for a long time, at least up through 17, 18, maybe 19. And anyhow, this is Tom from Star Frontiers Gamer, and thanks for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great, and I will see you in the frontier.